Spy. Spy. Jan 31 350 calls. Coronavirus. Spy. Coronavirus death rate. Jan 31 350 calls. Bear gang leader. Now. Jan 31 350 calls. Jan 31 350 calls. Affected countries: China, US, Spain, Canada, France, Germany, Japan, Thailand. Jan 31 350 calls. Earnings. Apple, Microsoft, Subway, Daddy Elon, Faceplant, Amazon, Starbucks, Beyond Meat.
Trade 8 even offer, 7 even offer, 6 halves are trading here now, 6 evens are trading, 5 even.
Welcome back to Dank, Stonkz. Get your degenerate fix, ya junkies. Bull gang. Renaming the virus is the only way China will get rid of this thing quickly. Coronavirus. Winnie the flu. Yeet or be yeeted. Portfolio value. Coronavirus. Me checking my fun little investment app. What did who to you? 2:30 p.m. Bulls. Bears. Bears at 3 p.m.
Now the market is basically saturated for the Model 3. They are piling up thousands and thousands of them in inventory lots. You can see the pictures all over the place. Tesla claims it's a logistics center, but you don't have cars sitting for weeks without moving covered with dust in a logistics center. The market for the Model 3 is nowhere near what people such as Galileo think it is, and that's why they can never reach structural profitability.
Tesla. Short stock, long puts. Perma bears. The Fed. Margin call.
Napoleon once said, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. So I won't. Just watch the screen. That's a lot of horse.
Shorters. Perma bears. Ford bull. Tesla 400. Tesla 500. Tesla 600. Tesla 700.
Let's roll some earnings plays, baby. Gains. Can't wait to see what this looks like tomorrow morning. Tesla. We have lottery plays at 592. We have at 585. We also have some Febs, some March. Let's just go all in, baby. We have a YOLO, Another AMD hooligan going 100K in AMD stock before earnings. Facebook stock dropped around 7% in aftermarket trading after announcing financial results that, while strong, highlighted slowing growth and mounting costs for the company. Amazon 500,000 profit update sold at open. This player went with the Lotto's 1880 calls, and let's say it was a good day.
The Federal Reserve leaves the benchmark rate where it is at 1.5 to 1.75% in a unanimous decision. The Fed sees the current level as appropriate to sustain the economic expansion going forward. They will watch the data for any changes that they might need to make going forward here. Now, the Fed also watching global growth developments, the global growth outlook, as well as global developments. Now, that could include the coronavirus going forward. It sees U.S. inflation as muted and the job market remains strong. Now, one change to the statement, the Fed slightly downgrades consumer spending to a moderate pace. The Fed views business investment and exports still as weak going forward. In the technical housekeeping column, the Fed raises the interest rate on excess reserves 5 basis points to match the federal funds rate, which is inching up within that range that the Fed has. The Fed extends the overnight emergency repo operations through April. Those operations were expected to end this month, and the Federal Reserve is keeping Treasury bill purchases through at least the second quarter. Now, again, the Fed, Charles, maintains the benchmark rate where it is, and they do see this as appropriate for the economic expansion.
Today, we're finally ending the NAFTA nightmare and signing into law the brand new US-Mexico-Canada agreement. Very special.
Damn it, I said I wanted breakfast, not Brexit.
I know you want to ban our national flags, but we're going to wave you goodbye, and we'll look forward in the future to working with you as sovereign.
If you disobey the rules, you get cut off. Could we please remove the flags?
What happens at 11 p.m. this Friday, the 31st of January 2020, marks the point of no return. Once we've left, we are never coming back, and the rest, frankly, is detail.
What is the latest in terms of that coronavirus outbreak?
Well, the number of infections has now climbed past 14,000 with more than 300 deaths, and anxiety is really escalating since we are getting more evidence that people may be able to transmit this disease without any obvious signs of infection. You also had the first known death outside of China. It was a 44-year-old man from Wuhan who died in the Philippines on Saturday. In China, you also had the first area outside of Hubei imposing a quarantine measure. Wenzhou is this eastern port of about 9 million people. It's some 700 kilometers away from the center of the epidemic's origin, but they do have about 600 confirmed cases of death. So this is the highest number outside of Hubei. Now, authorities in that city are telling residents that families can only send one person out of the house every 2 days to shop for necessities, and that people should only leave for serious medical issues. And you also, over the weekend, had more airlines in Asia, Europe, and the Middle East stopping service to the mainland, and also more countries are blocking travelers from China. Most recently, you had measures from the Philippines and New Zealand, and also the U.S. Department of Homeland Security is now directing U.S. flights carrying citizens from China to one of 7 international airports where they're screening for potential coronavirus cases.
So, Selena, of course, equity markets return for the first time since the Lunar New Year break. What are we expecting to see there? It's not going to be pretty, is it?
Well, Paul, you're right. Every market now has had a chance to react to the spreading coronavirus, except for China. And the authorities there really want to make sure that they calm any nerves and that they try to contain the size of the sell-off. The PBOC and other regulators over the weekend have rolled out a slew of targeted measures to try and calm the markets. So the central bank will be providing more than $21 billion of liquidity to ensure that there is ample liquidity in the markets. On Saturday, the PBOC also said they'd be increasing lending to the whole economy, giving institutions some 300 billion yuan to re-lend. This also follows the announcement from last week that China's biggest banks will be lowering interest rates for firms in Hubei, the center of the outbreak. But really, these measures have been quite targeted to address the immediate market and economic concerns, but economists are expecting this to have a more protracted impact given sectors like the travel and hospitality industry that have immediately felt the brunt of this impact because of those travel restrictions and people not going out and spending because of fears of the spreading coronavirus. You also have the fact that industrial production will be impacted by the extension of the Lunar New Year holiday. And you also have regulators saying that they don't want investors to react irrationally and calling investors to really look rationally and objectively at the concerns here.
Let's take a look at this week's market recap.
This week ended bearish. We had the VIX breaking a support line that I have drawn since 2018 and holding up pretty well. All major ETFs are down and gold continues to steady uptrend. These are this week's numbers. That pretty much wraps it up for this episode. Make sure to subscribe and share for more market memes and news. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you until next crash.